Hi everyone, and welcome to what is going to be a pretty chill Q&A video. Now, I did mention in a past video that my sister got me this LEGO Orchid building kit for Christmas, and I figured we could start putting this together while doing this Q&A video, and I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I've never built anything out of Legos since just playing with Legos as a kid, so I have absolutely zero idea how long this is going to take. So I don't know if we're going to actually complete this in this video. If we don't, I might either do like a sped up version of me finishing it or just cut in some footage at the end showing you how it turned out. But it is a very cold, very dreary day here today, so I figured this is an excellent activity. I did just make myself a cup of tea in my favorite new mug, which I've had almost a year now. It's a cute little cat mug that my friends Chris and Megan gave me for my birthday last year, but I love the size of it for tea. And why did I make tea? I mean, I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. And I say that because I do have essential tremors that make my hands shake, my legs shake, and my head shake. So if you ever notice me being a little shaky in videos, it's a neurological condition. It's nothing serious. I've had it my whole life, but it does get a little bit exacerbated by caffeine, and I only had caffeinated tea on hand. And so trying to put Legos together, getting more shaky from this, probably wasn't the best idea, but it's a cold, dreary day, and I wanted some tea. I digress. So I have collected your guys' questions. Most of your questions this time were not plant-based. And I tell you guys all the time, you can ask me whatever you want. So there are a lot of non-plant-based questions here. I have some questions that I get asked frequently from you guys that weren't necessarily in response to my request for questions for this video that I've included on this list that are plant-based just because I get asked them all the time. So I figured it's an excellent opportunity to answer them. But I'm going to go ahead and start getting this out here. This is bag 1 of 4. And I'm going to be honest, this first part, looking at the instructions, looks like the most complicated part. It's like building the internal structure of like the pot part of it. So it's the inside parts of this that these black pieces go onto. It looks really complicated, like the most complicated part. I mean, there's even a smaller baggie of stuff inside the bigger baggie of stuff. That's always a good sign that this is going to be a little bit complicated. Also, I'm not sure how well it's going to go with me trying to look at the camera, talk to you about the questions, look at the instructions, and figure this out at the same time. It's a lot. I was recently officially diagnosed as ADHD, or maybe just ADD. I think she said it was just ADD really. But yeah, I'm going to do my best to be able to multitask and still like be coherent in this video. Okay, so first thing I want to address, just because it came up a lot on the video that I released when I was at my sister's house in Houston filming her plants. I don't know what happened, but a few of you guys had commented the week before that I had cut my hair, which I did. I cut it back shorter. I was just over it. It was the longest it had ever been. This does not want to click together. The longest, there it goes. The longest it had ever been, and it was getting more tangled, like, I guess tangled more easily, I should say. It was just driving me absolutely up the wall, you guys. And 9 times out of 10, I was just pulling it back in a ponytail. I was having an issue of like, you know, the hair's getting broken off and having all these short flyaways and everything because of it. And I just decided I was over it. So I cut it back off. And then for whatever reason, I got a gazillion and one comments on that video I filmed in Houston that, oh my gosh, your hair is curly. My hair has always been curly. And actually for almost 2 years now on YouTube, 9 times out of 10, if I have it styled just down and I'm not wearing a hat or I don't have it pulled back, it's styled curly. I don't know why it seemed to catch a lot of you guys off guard in that video, but I got so many comments on it, and thank you for saying that you thought it was pretty. I really appreciate that, but I just thought it was so weird. And I think maybe it's because it was so humid in Houston. It's way more humid down there than it is up here in the Dallas area, that it just made the curls even tighter than they normally are. Plus, I had just gotten it cut shorter, which naturally makes the curls spring up and get a little bit tighter than they normally are. So I think you guys just noticed it more. But my hair is naturally curly. I didn't get it permed or anything like that. I did have a few people ask about that. I'm also going to have to try to remember to drink this tea before it gets cold, because I am the world's worst even when I'm not filming a video about forgetting that I've made tea and I start doing something and next thing you know, it's cold. But anyways, so that's what's going on with the hair. Now, you guys did not get a video last week because I had made a post letting you guys know that, ooh, I need to open a little baggie, letting you guys know that I had to have eye surgery done. And so I did get some questions about what was going on with that. I know a lot of you had mentioned that you recalled that in some recent videos I've been saying I needed to go get my eyes checked because I felt like I was just getting to that age to where I can't see well enough to read without holding things further away, which is accurate. And I actually do have whatever that's called. I forget what it's called. Every time I try to tell someone, I forget. I'll flash it up on screen for you. But I do have that. This is just natural aging, happens to everybody. That's when you hit the point that you need reading glasses. So, you know, I kind of knew that was going on, but I also had not gone to the eye doctor in over a decade, which was bad on me. So I did have LASIK done in my early 20s. I guess maybe, was I 25? No, I think I had it done when I was like 22 or 23. So I had LASIK done. It was a success. They said I shouldn't need any reading glasses or any additional help seeing or anything until after 40. And they just said sometime after 40, you're going to have reading glasses because, like I said, this is just what happens. So I had gone to the eye doctor once since having LASIK, but I never got vision insurance because I didn't really need it because my eyes weren't, you know, changing or anything. So I just then kind of got out of the habit of going, which is bad. Do not do that, you guys. Even if you have perfect vision, go get your eyes checked just for general eye health, which, by the way, I think if you just go get a checkup for general eye health, that actually, I'm 99% positive, is covered under your regular medical insurance. So if you don't have vision insurance, it would just go through your medical, because I'm pretty sure vision only covers actual like vision, like how well you can see. And if you need glasses or contacts to correct your vision or anything like that, everything else, I'm almost positive, falls underneath the medical umbrella and not the vision insurance. But I highly recommend doing that because what I discovered very quickly was that I apparently have developed something called narrow angle glaucoma, which had gotten to the point that I was at risk of having permanent damage to my eyes and possible permanent vision loss because of it. And if I had been going every year, like I really should have been, just to have regular eye health checked, this would have gotten caught way sooner. So take this as your PSA and schedule your eye health appointment if you haven't had one done in over a year. So anyways, went and did find out that I do need reading glasses. Found out that my vision has actually slightly changed, which also might be related to the narrow angle glaucoma. I have to find out afterwards. Hold on. Did I just put this in backwards? I put this in backwards. I totally didn't even remotely do what I was supposed to with this. I was supposed to put it through the orange part first before I stuck it to the other thing. See, this is already going swimmingly, huh? Okay, let's see. Okay, I think we're back in business on that. So my vision had changed slightly. I haven't done anything in terms of getting like glasses or contacts to correct the vision because this narrow angle issue came up first. And so I needed to go get that addressed. I did go ahead and get some reading glasses, which work great for like if I'm laying in bed reading, but they don't work for sitting at my computer and stuff. So depending on the outcome of the eye surgeries, which I've only had one so far. I have to have both eyes done. I'll explain what's being done in a second. And I've just had the left one done. So that's why you guys didn't get a video last week, because it impaired my vision more and for longer and gave me a bad headache and all kinds of things than I thought it was going to. So I was unable to edit during that time. So anyways, long story short, I still don't know exactly the extent to which my vision needs to be corrected, but I will be getting contacts and glasses and whatnot for that after everything is healed up from these two surgeries, which these surgeries are what are known as, I'm not sure if it's pronounced iridotomy. Like when I look at it, I want to read it as iridotomy, but considering it's named after your iris in your eye, it may be, no, that would be iridotomy. Iridotomy? I don't know, you guys. I think I want to read it as an iridotomy, but because it's named after your iris, I think it's an iridotomy. I think that's where I was trying to go with that. So basically what they do is they use a laser, and it's just like a quick outpatient procedure, but like you can't drive yourself because you can't see worth a damn out of your eye after you have it done. But they basically go in and they basically poke a hole in the iris of your eye to allow the fluid between your lens, or no, yes, no, what am I trying to say? The fluid between the front of your eye and your iris, when you're when you have narrow angle glaucoma, like that fluid normally drains out of the corners of the internal part of your eye, but in narrow angle glaucoma, your lens has gotten like bigger and decreased the space in your eye, if that makes sense. And so those angles start to close, and when they close, there's nowhere for the fluid to go. And so the pressure builds up and it can cause damage to your eyes. And apparently mine weren't only just like starting to close, a few of them had started to fuse together where they were closing. It was that bad. So anyways, they poke a hole in your iris and it gives the fluid a place to go so that the pressure's relieved so that you don't have damage to your eyes or your vision. So this also probably explains why I've had this uptick in migraines this year, which I've also mentioned in some videos to you guys, because all that pressure buildup when you start to have what they call an attack, a glaucoma attack, can cause a headache. It can cause your vision to be blurry. And I've definitely been experiencing that, but I had no idea that that's what was happening. I thought I was just having headaches and then my eyes were dry and it was all kind of working together, you know, as just part of this headache thing that I was having. So I had no idea that that's what was going on, but now I know. So they've done this eye, and now I need to go have the right eye done a week from today, actually. And I'm trying to get ahead of videos so that I don't have to skip another week, but we'll see how that goes. If I have to skip another week, that's why. And yeah, so go get your eyes checked. That's basically the moral of this story. And hopefully I will have less headaches, and hopefully my vision will be a little bit better than it was when I had it just checked before we knew what was going on with this, because this can degrade your vision slightly, this condition. So we'll see what happens. But that is what's going on with that. All right, I got the first one of these little internal component thingies put together. There's like 5 of these. So now that I've done one, hopefully the rest of these will go more quickly. And then I think they just stack together to form the internal part of this. But let me see what our next question is. Okay, let's do something slightly planty. So a couple of you asked me who my favorite plant YouTubers are. This is a tricky question for me because my favorite plant YouTubers, especially when I first got into plants, are all out of the game now. Like, not out of the plant game, but they're out of the YouTube game. However, their videos and their channels, with the exception of one of them, are still there. And one of them kind of just recently started back up. So I don't know. It's still worth it to go check some of them out, even though some of the videos are like older and whatnot. It's still valuable information. But Plantarina was the first plant YouTuber that I really got into. And if you don't know, Plantarina sold plants on a website called Plantarina as well. She had a business partner. It seems like there was some kind of falling out and they shut the business down. And in the process, through negotiations of what that was going to look like, she was required to shut down the YouTube channel and not just like stop making videos. Like, she took the whole channel down, which means those videos are no longer living on YouTube or the internet anywhere. So that was kind of upsetting. She did restart a channel, but I think she's only posted like 1 or 2 videos over there so far. So I know she had had some kind of family issues going on too around that time. So I don't know. I think she's just kind of taking a break, or maybe she's just focusing on more important things in life. So then also around that same time, I got really into the Crazy Plant Guy up in Canada. He is now retired, like retired from everything, like retired at 40, retired. And he's living a really good life. And if you want to go follow him on Instagram, he still posts plant stuff over there, like pictures of his plants, his garden. his dog, all his travels and things he's doing is still fascinating to follow along, in my opinion, but he has not done YouTube videos for plants in a long, long time. And he did own a physical plant shop at one point too before he retired. So very interesting guy, still worth going and checking him out, giving him a follow on Instagram. And then I have also, over the years, followed a handful of people, but when I started making videos, you guys, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of other YouTubers say this too, you kind of fall out of the habit of watching as much plant YouTube just because you don't have as much time to do it, right? You're constantly working on your own content and it's hard to find time to watch other people's content. Like lots of times I'll just put it on in the car when I'm going to work out or something like that. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yep, got ahead of myself and skipped a step. Gotta back it up again. And also not being able to see perfectly clear right now is not helping on this situation either. Because some of these pieces, I can't tell if they're exactly the same on both ends or not. I think this is the same on both ends. Okay. Getting back on track. So anyways, most of the time when I'm watching YouTube videos now, plant-based YouTube videos, it's usually when I'm driving somewhere. I just put it on. I basically like listen to it. I find one that I know I'm not really going to necessarily need to look at it, and I listen to it. I still watch a lot of Kaylee Ellen's videos. I watch a lot of Houseplanty Goodness in the UK. His videos, really like them. If you like a lot of the more scientific type stuff, he's definitely a good one to follow. I do watch Wild Fern periodically. She puts out so many videos, you guys. I don't even know how she puts out as many videos as she does. Like, she puts out minimum 3 videos a week, and usually she puts out more than that. I think I figured out the other day that she had put out like 5 in one week. I'm like, I can't even begin to think about trying to plan, film. Well, planning would happen beforehand, but I don't know, just the whole like organizational layout, calendar, everything of trying to plan, film, edit, release 5 videos a week is insane to me. It is insane. Kudos to her for doing that. But that's also a lot of content. So I like never stay on top of all of her content. It's just I can't find the time to watch every single video with as many as she's putting out everywhere. But I do still really like her videos. I also was just noticing the other day, like her style has changed a lot. Just her manner of speaking, everything over the years has really changed a lot. It's been really fascinating to kind of watch her, I guess, grow into an adulthood, because she was relatively young when she started. I mean, way younger than I was when I started. I mean, I started my channel when I was 40. But yeah, it's just been really fascinating to kind of see her develop and grow over the years. Okay, I think I got this one correct now. But now we need to put these little arched pieces on the top of it, and then I think that completes this first one. And like I said, I got a little bit ahead of myself. So hopefully I didn't totally screw up something moving forward on the next page, because I think this is the last thing for this page. But yeah, so those are most of the planty YouTubers that I watch right now. I still occasionally, like, I follow a lot more than that. And if I see a video, they've released a video that looks really interesting, I will go give it a watch. Even if I don't have time, I'll try to find time. I mean, I still am that kind of person, right? Like, we're all those kinds of people that if we see something and we're like, ooh, what is that about? Like, I really want to know. We'll make the time to figure out what it's about, right? Or we'll start it for a second and then we'll like bookmark it to watch later. I do that a lot too. But those are the big ones that I really kind of watch more often than not. If you guys have any suggestions, because like I said, finding new people who have started since I started, I don't know if I follow anybody who started after I started or even the same time that I started. So if there's like newer people that you guys follow that you recommend, drop a comment down below and let me know. All right, let me see. That is definitely done now. Not missing many pieces. Let's see what's next up on the list. Okay, so some of you did ask how my mom is doing, because I did mention in a video a while back that she was diagnosed earlier this year with Alzheimer's. I had also mentioned that I've known she's had Alzheimer's since 2020, and nobody really wanted to listen to me. And it finally just got so bad that there was no denying it. And she has officially been diagnosed now, and I totally, apparently, did make this one incorrectly. Maybe, oh, look at this. I already started making the one that is 2 pages away, so, and I did it right, so at least there's that. But let me backtrack to the page I should have been on. So yeah, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. My parents did decide, and I think I told you guys this, did decide to move to Houston. They were living primarily, their main house was in the Austin area. They built that house from the ground up as a retirement home. Then when my sister had my niece 3 years ago, they had sold a house that they still had up in Washington. And they decided to sell that because they had been going up there for the summers and they were just getting tired of making that drive. And now they had a dog, and trying to drive the dog and everything was a lot. And they wanted to spend more time with their granddaughter. So they ended up selling that house, and then they bought like a tiny little townhouse down in Houston so they could stay for an extended period of time without having to have the dog at my sister's house, all those kinds of things. They sold the townhouse, they sold their retirement home, they moved to Houston like a week and a half before Christmas. I'm not going to get into my feelings on this. Maybe I will get into my feelings on this. Okay, so my feelings on this were, my dad is struggling, right? He was struggling with adjusting to everything and having to kind of do everything himself. And, you know, my mom can't drive anymore. So not that she ever really drove that much anyway, but besides the point. And so, I don't know, he was getting overwhelmed. So I think he felt like he needed some help. And so he was thinking he wanted to move to Houston for that reason. Also, he felt it would be better for my mom to be closer to my sister and spend more time with the granddaughter. For some reason, he thought this would be helpful towards the Alzheimer's thing. I don't really know about that. They talked to her doctor about it, and he said it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. And so my dad wanted to do this. My mom completely said, no, I don't want to do this. She was very adamant. She's been adamant since they moved into that house in Austin that she did not want to move again for the rest of her life. This was like her 31st move in her life. She moved around a lot. Military. Well, her dad was in the military, but then when he was out of the military, he was working for a company that worked on military contracts. So it was pretty much like being in the military. So they moved around a lot. And so she never wanted to move again. So fast forward, and basically my dad calls me one day, or no, he messaged me on the family group Facebook chat we have. He had messaged everybody, I guess. No, he sent me a separate text message because he was down in Houston, and him and my sister and my niece and my mom and my brother-in-law had all gone to look at houses with them. I didn't know they were looking at houses. Last I had heard, my mom was not going to move, right? And so he sends me, he says, tell me which of these 2 houses you like better, sends me 2 listings. And I'm like, what the heck? Why are you asking me about this? And then basically he said, your mom's finally on board with moving to Houston. And I was kind of like, is she actually on board? Does she even remember this? Because you guys, her short-term memory is just shot at this point. I mean, it's bad. And so I'm like, I don't even know if she remembers. And even he told me later, like the next day, she wouldn't remember which houses they looked at or anything about them. So I'm kind of like, does she really want to move to Houston? I don't know. So I was already kind of a little aggravated about the situation, but they're there now. And when I went down for Christmas, I was a little confused because I got there. Well, on the way down, I told my dad when I was leaving, right after I'd gotten gas before heading out of town, I had said, hey, I'm heading down. By the way, whose house am I going to right now? And whose house am I staying at? Like, while I'm there. And he was like, your sister's. And I was like, okay. So I assumed that meant go to your sister's right now and you're staying at your sister's. And my sister has a multi-bedroom house, but she has it set up in a way that there's really only one spare bedroom. She's using a lot of the rooms for, like, my brother-in-law has an office, she has an office, and then my niece has her room, right? So there's only one room. So I figured my parents were just staying at their new house and then I would stay in the guest room at my sister's house. Well, I get there and I discover that even though my parents have been there for a week and a half at that point, they hadn't actually stayed at their new house. They've been staying in the guest room at my sister's house. And I was kind of like, what? Why? Like, why aren't you staying at your house? Like, I'm really confused about this. So I ended up sleeping on a futon in my sister's office the whole time that I was there. But also was not expecting that on day 2 that I was there, we went over to my parents' new house, which I knew I was going to go see their new house. Oh, but it turned into we're helping them unpack all day. Like the whole day we were over there helping them unpack, and they have like multiple things because they consolidated 2 homes into one. And they still have a ton of things from like when we were kids. They have so many duplicates of so many things that when we went over there, my goal was like, don't touch anything except the kitchen, because they hadn't unpacked the kitchen. Like the furniture was all set up, the beds were made, they'd unpacked their clothes, their bathroom items, things like that. The only thing that was making it to where it theoretically unlivable in that house was nothing was unpacked in the kitchen. So I was like, all we are focusing on today is the kitchen so that you can come stay in your new house that you haven't even stayed in. And it took all day to do it. And we set up a garage pile, like a garage sale pile and everything. And I mean, oh my gosh, you guys, it was so much stuff. So much stuff. And at one point, I actually was trying to get my dad to consolidate 12 cutting boards down to like 4. And he went to put one in the drawer. And I was like, no, you don't need 3 or even 2, however many it was, cutting boards that are that same size. And it was like kind of a medium-sized cutting board. He's like, but I really like this one. And I was like, I can tell. It's really worn out. I mean, it had tons of cut marks in it, everything. I'm like, you have a newer one, a nicer one that's the same size. And he just sat there and stared at me. And I was like, I don't even want to know how you could have such an emotional attachment to a cutting board right now. Give it to me. And it went out in the garage sale pile. I was just like, what are we doing here? We need to get things moving here. We need to get them out of here. And I'm glad we did the kitchen that day because he couldn't find the plates that went with their primary dish set that they used at the house in Austin. And we never found it. And come to find out, it's because they ran the dishwasher at the house in Austin before they left and didn't unload it. So we were able to get their real estate agent to go over there and deal with that. So they did end up getting their missing dishes and everything. But yeah, the whole thing was just crazy, you guys. And I will say my niece was very well behaved while we were there because she came with us. My brother-in-law stayed back at their house to do something. And I was like, well, this is going to be interesting because one of us is probably going to have to entertain Vera all day, but she did fabulously. So we got all of that set up. And then I think the day after I left to come back up here, they finally went and stayed at their house. So, but the whole time that we were there, my mom, like, we left their dog at my sister's house with my brother-in-law. Literally, like every 15 minutes or so, she would ask, where's Louie? And we would tell her, he's still at Amy's house. She's like, oh, okay. 15 minutes later, where's Louie? He's at Amy's house. Oh, okay. Where's Louie? This is how it's going, you guys. Her long-term memory is still pretty good. She gets a little confused on details on things sometimes, but I mean, don't we all over time start to get a little bit confused on details? We're like, wait, was this or was this that? I was trying to remember yesterday where I did laundry when I was in college, and I could remember all the places I lived where there was actually like a washer and dryer in the apartment, but like I was struggling to like envision, was there a laundry facility like in the basement at that apartment complex? Was I going to like a laundromat down the street? Like, these are things that I did. Ooh, sorry, my phone just fell, you guys. These are things that I did on the regular all the time. And I cannot for the life of me recall where I did laundry at the very first apartment that I ever lived in. So yeah, there are things that you forget or details get a little hazy on over time. But in general, her long-term memory is good. The short-term is just, it's a mess. It's a mess. She is in a drug trial. Hold on, I think I finished that one. So yes, we got this second one done. So now on to the third one that I started prematurely. She is in a drug trial, but I can't really say exactly how that's going, first of all, because I'm not seeing her on the regular, but also because I don't know if she got the placebo or not. We don't know if she actually got the actual medication or not. So, and I need to follow up with my dad on like how long this trial goes for and when we find out if she had the real thing or not, which this is definitely a change because originally she had said she didn't want to do any trials. And so that was a change in and of itself that she decided she wanted to do this one. And she is still just on like the regular already approved medications and everything. So I don't know. That's kind of how it's going. She also is just never been like super physically active. And I've been trying to get my dad to get her to be more physically active, but it's a bit of a struggle. And she also, I want her to quit drinking because she has like at least a glass of wine every night. French family, right? My mom's side of the family is French. It's not uncommon, but with the Alzheimer's, the doctor has said, yeah, it would probably be better if you quit drinking. But that's also going to require my dad to not drink either, because the second my dad like opens a bottle of wine to have a glass of wine, she's going to want one and he's not going to tell her no. So I don't know. That whole thing needs to get resolved. She's also not the best about eating full meals and eating lunch in general. Lots of times there's just a milkshake involved for lunch. So I want her to get to eating a little bit healthier too, since we know that eating more whole foods and things like that can really help with memory and everything with Alzheimer's. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I will keep you guys updated. But this kind of leads into our next question, which is about when am I going to move to Hawaii? All right, before we get into that, I think I'm supposed to stack these three together now. Although I'm kind of confused. Does it just sit on top of it? What are we showing me here? Would help if I had the right one, but still. Okay, I think I know what's going to happen here. Okay, I think these actually like don't connect. I think they just stack on top of each other, and then there's a hole in the center, and we've got some long pull things that I think eventually go through the middle and probably hold that together, because that's what it looks like in the picture. So let's see what's on the next page. Do I have another one to do? I have another one to do. Why do I feel like I'm missing a piece? Oh, no, this one doesn't use that piece. Okay. Well then, okay, moving to Hawaii. I am a little bit conflicted. So when my parents told me that they were going to move to Houston, I was like, well, I might as well just go ahead and move to Hawaii then, because nobody's going to be coming up here to see me anymore when they're all living in Houston, which my dad said, his argument was, well, we'll come up there more because we don't have to worry about boarding Louie, the dog. We can just take Louie to your sister's house, which I'm like, have you discussed this with her and my brother-in-law? Because I'm not sure how they're going to feel about that. But yeah, he was like, oh, well, we can come up there more. And I'm like, well, it's still not going to change my sister coming up here more, because she just came up here for the first time in over 3 years for Thanksgiving, and it didn't exactly go the best with my niece. And so I don't know when she's going to come back up here, although my niece keeps talking about being up here and like already discussing memories of things from being up here. So hopefully maybe that will encourage them to come back up here, you know, sooner rather than later. But at the same time, it's like, if they're all in Houston, I can just already see this being like, well, we're already all here. Why don't you come down? Which is actually more difficult for me because of having to get a cat sitter and the situation with the cats and the feeding and all this other stuff. So basically, I have to have somebody stay here. And I ended up getting my neighbor up the street, who apparently is also on Rover, and I didn't know that, to not actually stay here the whole time with them over Christmas. But I couldn't find anybody that could stay here the whole time over Christmas. It's really hard for the holidays to find somebody who's going to stay at your house while you're gone, right? And so since she's right up the road, she could come over like 3 times a day, but I had to pay her for 3 visits a day on Rover, and it ended up being like close to $300 for me just being gone. Let's see, I was gone for the equivalent of 3 full days, right? And so I'm like, that's a lot. So I can't just be like hopping down to Houston on the regular. So I was kind of like, maybe I should just go ahead and start looking into moving to Hawaii. And so I actually did start looking into it. But then like, after seeing my mom and how much worse she is, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know. Like now I'm like, do I really want to go that far away with all that going on. And so now I'm really conflicted and I don't even know what to do. That's where I'm at with that. I'm like, I don't even know. So now I've been like contemplating. At one point I was contemplating, should I just move to Houston? I talked to some of you guys about that who had moved because of family before and stuff. And you're like, maybe not. Like, be careful. Like, it could end up being not the greatest thing. So now I'm wondering if maybe I shouldn't just consider moving somewhere else more tropical, getting closer to that Hawaii vibe, like maybe Florida. That's still not too far away because Florida's not too far away. But I'm still going to have that issue of if I want to go to Houston to visit, having to deal with the cat sitter thing and everything, and they're all already in Houston. And is anybody really going to want to come to Florida? Because then now they're going to have to fly and that's more expensive for them. And I'm like, if it's going to be that situation, then I might as well just go to Hawaii. So I don't know, you guys. I don't know what I'm doing. My goal is to figure it out this year, what I'm doing. But I don't know, I'm really conflicted. If anybody else has any like suggestions, insights, previous experience with such things, please chime in. Would love to hear it. But so the short answer, I guess, to that question is, I don't know when I'm moving to Hawaii. I don't know what I'm doing is really the short answer to that question. Okay, let's see. Is this all I had to do on this one? Oh, I see now. So now these side pieces, so we've got all of these that kind of stack together. Oh, this is going to be such a pain in the butt to try to hold together and put together. So all of these stack together, and then these side pieces connect to hold them together. And I got to make sure I get them all on the right side and try to get this all lined up well enough. Oh, this seems like a pain in the butt. Seems like this would have been better to have something else to hold these together in place, especially since I'm shaky. And now I'm really regretting the T. Maybe if I set it on its side. Make sure I'm lining up the right colors. Okay, so I'm supposed to line up like the turquoise ones, and those are the only two that go into this one, as far as I can tell from this diagram. Well, that doesn't really want to line up. What are we doing? I am really not good at this. Do I actually have to hold them together? It's showing them like, let's see if we can do this without having to hold them together. It's showing them stacked like that, which makes me think that I probably need to, now I've lost track of what's what, which makes me think I need to keep them together, but maybe I don't. Maybe we can just do that, then slide one in. Oh wait, this one does have a, hold up. Let me do this again. Okay, bottom piece, second piece. Okay, this definitely has no way to stick together. So that's that. But then we have this piece, which does have a way to stick to this. So now I just need to make sure I got it lined up correctly. At least I think that should snap into place. Okay, okay. That's a lot easier. So now let's see if we can get the turquoise ones connected. Oh, did I put that on backwards? I put some stuff on backwards, you guys. Are y'all on backwards? No, those are fine. I'm a hot mess. Okay, I think I got it right now. So now I just need to get this on in the right holes because I had it in the wrong ones a second ago. All right, that one's on. Now we gotta try and get the orange one on. Oh, good. Now it's all just going to stay together a lot better for me to finish doing this, and I can get back to the questions. Okay, one of you guys did ask a planty question. You asked if I struggle with a plant or have a plant die, Do I give it a second try, a third try? Basically, how many tries do you give a plant that you're struggling with or that you've killed? First of all, you guys, I have luckily not killed very many plants at all. I can count them on one hand in the 5 years that I've been heavily into plants. And the ones that actually just died outside of like, you know, just having a horrible pest issue and me throwing them away, which I don't necessarily consider those as died. But of the ones that died, one of the ones that died is a plant that actually is a biannual, yes, I believe that is what it's called. Plant. It's a plant that only lives for 2 years anyway, and I had it for 2 years. So there's that one. The only two plants that I've had that I would say, and one of them I don't think was actually dead when I tossed it. I was just over it. And I couldn't find anybody that would take it for free. It was my Selaginella. That plant just did not like me, and I was over it, and I couldn't find anybody to just take it, and so it went bye-bye. That was like one of the only plants that I have thrown, that is the only plant I've thrown away that didn't just have a pest issue, that I wasn't throwing away for something legit, like fully dead or bad pests or something like that. It just had to go though. It had to go. And so there was that one. Then I had my snow bush that just died. I don't know what happened. I repotted it. It threw a fit and it died. Like I didn't change anything else about how I was caring for it. Just repotted it. It threw a fit and it died. No clue. But I was not super attached to that plant in the first place. And after having that experience, I was like, I don't really want to go through that again. So I did not give it a second chance, and I will not give it a second chance. If it was a plant that I really, really liked and was like, man, I really want to be able to keep this alive, it's so pretty, it's whatever. Like if my Calathea White Fusion had died, you better believe I would have given that one a second chance. So it just depends on the plant. But of the ones that the few that I have actually like lost, no, I won't. And that's basically the only one I can think of indoor. I did have a Petrocroton die outdoor. Come on. Go on. But that was from spider mites, bad spider mites. They're spider mite magnets. The spider mites finally just took over, and I was so over the spider mites that I did not want to do the plant again. Would I try one again in the future outside? Maybe. I just don't, well, actually now that the tree in my neighbor's yard that was the primary source of the spider mites outside has been removed, I actually might be more willing to try another croton out back. But it is also a plant that won't survive outside here in the winters, so it would have to move into my garage. And that's when I struggled more to keep the spider mites under control, because it was just in my garage and not outside. So it was limited to whatever spiders were in the garage in terms of beneficial bugs to take care of business, whereas outside, ladybug larvae, predatory mites, things like that is more exposed to. And I was already struggling with the spider mites outside, so in the garage it was not doing well. So I don't know if I would try it again unless I was living somewhere where it could actually survive outside year-round and have access to more beneficial bugs just naturally. Let's see. I did have one other outdoor plant that same year. Actually, no, I think I lost that one the second year. Lost it to spider mite issues, and that was my taro plant, my colocasia. Absolutely love that plant. Would love to have one again. I actually did find out after the fact, because I had it in a pot, and I really would prefer to have it in a pot. But after going through the whole experience I went through, because same thing, it had to come in the garage during the winter for a lot of the winter. And then that's when I really had problems keeping the spider mites under control. If I got another one while not living somewhere it could live outside in the winter, I would plant it directly in the ground, because they are perennials in the ground here. So if I plant one directly in the ground, it will come back next year. I actually have a spot in my front flower bed where I could do that. Maybe I'll do that this year in the spring. Give it another go. But yeah, that's my answer to that question. All right, you guys. I think we're going to do one more question, because it looks like we're almost at an hour, which I can't believe we're almost at an hour. But we are. My tea is getting cold. Okay, actually, it's definitely cold. Let's see. All right, I did get this question asked by several of you, and that is, how long have I been vegan? I have been vegan for quite a while at this point. So I actually went vegetarian first when I was in high school. That would have been when I was 15, which would have been, let me do some math in my head, 1997. So went vegetarian in 1997. And then after going to school, well, technically I started college in Seattle because I did a running start program in high school. And so when I went to actual college after high school graduation in Canada, I was vegetarian. And then after that first year, I ended up having to relocate back to the States due to the fact that they jacked up tuition where I was going to school up there 82%. And so when I moved back to the States that summer, I was living in a house with some of my friends in Bellingham, Washington, while they were in college out there. And one of my roommates was also vegetarian, and we had both talked about how we've been wanting to become vegan. And trying to go vegan on your own, it's like really hard when you first try to go vegan, you guys, because you just don't think about like checking labels and the types of things that could have dairy in them that you would think don't have dairy in them. And so we decided to go vegan together to kind of keep each other in check, which definitely was helpful. And so that was in 2002. So I've been vegan for over half my life. Let's just put it that way at this point. You can do the math, but yeah. And I got a subsequent question about would I ever stop being vegan? And the answer to that is no. And just in case anybody is wondering, because nobody asked, but just in case anybody is wondering, I chose to go vegan for multiple reasons. First of all, I chose to go vegetarian because I just love animals. So it's just me. To each their own. I'm not that kind of vegan. I don't judge people for not being vegan. But I chose to go vegan primarily more for health reasons, because when it comes to like dairy and things like that, you can buy like free range eggs. You can make sure that you're buying dairy products that are from places that are treating animals well. Highly recommend that you do that. That's not the issue. The issue with the vegan aspect of it versus the vegetarian is that my family has a history of cholesterol problems. And so by not eating cholesterol, that helps resolve those problems. And so I've managed to keep my cholesterol perfectly fine, unlike the rest of my family. So that's the main reason for the vegan versus the vegetarian part. All right, you guys, we are definitely not getting this whole thing done today because we've already been at this for an hour now. So I think I will probably just keep working on this, and I will, depending on how long it takes, I will either add in a shot of what it looks like completed right about now, or perhaps we will just pick it back up again in a future Q&A video. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If so, please be sure to click that like and/or subscribe button down below, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Aloha!